Good morning, everyone. I'm Lamont Yoder, President for the East Region of Corewell Health. And on behalf of our organization, it is a pleasure to sponsor today's event where we anticipate a lively discussion with our Southeast Michigan County leaders. 4 years ago, our legacy organizations of Beaumont and Oakwood came together with Spectrum Health in West Michigan to create Corewell Health, not just to be bigger, but to be better. Today, we are over 60,000 team members strong with 21 hospitals across the state of Michigan, and our Priority Health Insurance Division provides health care coverage for over 9,000 employers and 1.4 million health plan members in partnership with over 11,000 physicians. Since coming together, Corewell Health has created significant healthcare savings for Michiganders through operational improvements and purchasing standardization, saving $425 million in our first 2 years. And by the end of this year, we're on target to hit $1.2 billion in savings and cost improvements since Corewell Health was formed. This is happening at the same time, thank you. This is happening at the same time that we are experiencing incredible improvements in quality care metrics and outcomes, and building on our decades of national recognition like our Corewell Health, William Beaumont University Hospital, nationally ranked and ranked as the number 1 or 2 hospital in Michigan for decades. All of this supports our focus and effort on providing the most value and being the most affordable healthcare provider in Southeast Michigan. A merger and financial transformation and turnaround of this magnitude does not happen by accident. It happens because our leadership cares deeply for the communities we serve and for our nonprofit mission to improve health, instill humanity, and inspire hope. Corewell's transformation is also made possible thanks to many of you in this room and our numerous businesses in Michigan who have for decades been strong partners for all the fine healthcare institutions in Michigan. Over the past decade, healthcare has overtaken manufacturing as the largest employment sector in the state of Michigan, and the gap continues to widen as our population ages and our healthcare needs grow. In just the past year, Corewell Health has purchased goods and services for over 4,600 Michigan businesses and generated $1.6 billion in investment in our communities. So today is very special for us. We're proud to offer our sincere thanks to the business community by sponsoring the Detroit Regional Chamber's important work, because we know none of us can do this alone. It takes all of us to make a difference. I will end by extending our deep and sincere gratitude to the Detroit Regional Chamber for your leadership, for bringing us together. We look forward to continuing our work alongside the Chamber and alongside all of you as we continue to make Southeast Michigan a fabulous place to live and work for now and for future generations. Thank you.
Please welcome the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Detroit Regional Chamber, Sandy Baruah.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. So delighted to have you all back. We are going, as Lamont said, this program is super special to the Detroit Regional Chamber. One, because these leaders, the county executives, have really transformed their counties, but just as importantly, they have transformed how they work together. And apparently, they like each other. Right, Carol? That's the rumor. Well, we are so delighted to have Carol Kane, award-winning journalist, as our moderator yet again today. Our county executives, Dave Coulter, Warren Evans, and Mark Hackle. And they are going to put on a show today, but you're also going to get a lot of content. Now, none of this would be possible if we didn't have fantastic business sponsors that help the Chamber run. And I want to start with thanking Corewell Health, Lamont, and your leadership team. There are so many leaders from Corewell here today. Why don't you stand up just for a second? All the Corewell folks. Thank you guys so much. Also want to thank our long-time, dear, deep friends at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. And we have Tricia Keith, the CEO, in the house. Tricia, thank you so much. Tiffany Albert, who serves on our board, thank you so much. And to the entire Blue Cross network and all the services that they provide and their long-term support for the Detroit Regional Chamber. Our silver sponsors, Lake Michigan Credit Union, Regional Transit Authority of Southeast Michigan, and I know that transit is definitely going to come up in today's discussion. Our copper sponsor is Enbridge, and our technical partner, as they have been for many years, is Creative Day Technologies. A round of applause for all of the businesses that help make this happen. I also want to thank my bosses, especially since performance evaluation time is right around the corner here. We have several of the Detroit Regional Chamber board members here today. If you'd like, please stand, be recognized. Board members, thank you. Be nice to them on your way out. So, we traditionally do this event, we've been doing it for many years now, kind of on the heels of another annual event, which is the Detroit Regional Chamber's State of the Region report and event. And we do this in downtown Detroit. This year we had Ron Insana from CNBC as our guest speaker. We had a great panel discussed, but I want to just kind of highlight a couple of the findings to kind of set the stage here. So it's very clear that for all of the positives that we have, and we're definitely going to cover that, we do have work to do here in Michigan. We have fallen since the year 2000 from 16th in the nation in fourth grade reading to 44th. That's not a place where we want to be. Back in the year 2000, and again, maybe it's just because I'm old, but the year 2000 doesn't seem that long ago to me. We were 18th in per capita income, and now as a state, we're 40th. And we're second to last in the nation for population growth. So these are some trends that we definitely need to address, talk about, and find solutions to in a bipartisan way, and I know that's going to come up. We're also dealing with some headwinds at the national policy level. Tariffs alone have cost the automotive industry about $35 billion. And that's money that doesn't go to shareholders, doesn't go to employees, doesn't go into R&D. It just kind of poof, goes away. And that is a critical industry, as we all know, for Michigan in particular. The changes in consumer behavior and national policy around electrification has cost the industry another $50 billion. That's a lot of money. And we're actually losing manufacturing jobs, not just across the country, but right here in our backyard in Michigan. And these are things that we would like to see reversed. But we do have opportunities. The Detroit Regional Chamber is so happy to be working with our counterparts at Business Leaders for Michigan, the Michigan Chamber, and others to really highlight the opportunity Michigan has to be a leader in data centers and being a leader in doing data centers right. Because there's a lot of places in the country that have created data centers, but frankly, they haven't done it quite right. They haven't protected water supply. They haven't protected ratepayers. They haven't made sure that the centers themselves are attractive and are a value add to the communities that they locate in. And we look at data centers the same way we would have looked at roads, railroads, or airports in generations before. They are critical infrastructure that will drive our economy forward. We just need to make sure that we do it right. And the fact that Michigan wasn't the first state or a leading state, we're a fast follower, gives us the opportunity to do data centers in a better way. We're also celebrating Michigan's incredible strength in innovation. First of all, our state has 4 R1 universities, and R1 is the very top level of research universities, and we have 4 of them. Very few states can say that, and that is a huge advantage when you talk about research and development and the innovation economy. We're also a top 5 state in the nation for R&D. Most people don't know that. People think, oh, it's just California or it's Texas. No, we're right there. We are 5th in the nation. The other thing that has really kind of lifted our hopes is when you look at new business starts in the state. We have been constantly in the top for people in Michigan starting new businesses. And when you look at what happened after 2008 and the credit crisis and the big recession that we had, people wondered, so why was the recovery, the employment recovery, the business recovery so slow coming out of the 2008 credit crisis? Well, one of the reasons why is that we did not start new businesses. We were very low in new business starts. We're seeing the opposite dynamic now, and that is super, super exciting. And venture capital. Venture capital is an area where Michigan has long lagged, but not anymore. We are now 12th in the nation for venture capital, and that is a huge, huge advantage for us. So, you know our county executives, and they are working on all of these issues. My friend Dave Coulter from Oakland County, when we talk about educational attainment, the Detroit Regional Chamber started the goal, the statewide goal, to get to 60% of our adults with some sort of post-secondary degree by the year 2030. Dave Coulter's work in Oakland County has already got those county residents to 70%. And that is absolutely outstanding, and that is going to be a great, great thing and the rest of us are just trying to catch up. My friend Warren Evans from Wayne County, leader in transit. Leader in transit. Warren, I love what you're doing in terms of stopping those opt-out communities, the Swiss cheese approach. Appreciate that, and your leadership on housing. Thank you so much for your leadership and what you're doing. And Mark Hackle, my friend from Macomb County. Are we still celebrating the positive news about Selfridge? What a bipartisan piece of work that has been and continues to be, because Selfridge is so important to this community, to this state. Most people don't know, but Mark and his team get it. We have an unsung defense sector here in Michigan that we need to capitalize on, we need to build, and we need to celebrate, and Mark is leading that parade. Thank you so much, Mark, for what you and your team do. So, in just a few weeks, we're going to be up on Mackinac Island, Mackinac Policy Conference 2026. This year's theme is A Quest for Common Ground. As a purple state, we have the luxury of not having one party control everything all the time. We kind of go back and forth. Now, sometimes that's a challenge because we do a lot of policy U-turns. But the theme, A Quest for Common Ground, is exactly what you're going to see today. 3 leaders, 3 different counties, 3 different backgrounds working together in a really positive and fun way, and it's just such a joy to watch them. So as you listen to today's program, I encourage you, you should have a QR code at your seat. You can send questions to Carol, or you can compliment her on her hair. So use your phone. It's a Slido, and you can your phone will take you directly there. You have to put in this little access code and do that, and so we can get your questions up on this stage. So again, everyone, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to the program, as I know all of you do. Thanks so much.
Please welcome Oakland County Executive David Coulter, Wayne County Executive Warren Evans, Macomb County Executive Mark Hackle. And to moderate the conversation, please welcome senior producer and host of Michigan Matters on CBS Detroit and columnist at the Detroit Free Press, Carol Kane.
I missed out on the hug. I missed out on the hug. What's this about? Group hug. I feel like we're at a campfire here. You know?
There you go.
All right.
Starting out great here.
Well, the boys are back. It has been a year since we last gathered on this format here. And by the way, I'm glad to be part of this. And good morning, everybody. It's bright and early. I'm sure you had the same kind of drive-in I did, which is double your travel time as you hit construction zone after construction zone. But it's all for a good cause. Because the roads will be better, right? Hopefully. There's so much to talk about here. Oh, and I also want to give a shout out to Sandy and everybody else on his team for putting this event together. God knows how much work these things take. And all the sponsors, Corwell, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and all the others I'm not mentioning, but round of applause for yourselves. You three represent the trifecta of leaders who essentially on this region control so much of what goes on here. And so that said, I'm going to just pose some questions along the way. And on there's Slido, there's something on your thing, and you put your phone on and you can send me questions. I don't need to hear about my hair. I'm not having a good hair day, so don't give me any comments about that. But anyway, Mark, let me start with you. Give us, and these are meant to be quick answers. I know you could talk for 10 minutes on each one. Please don't do that. I will cut you off, you know that. I know I don't need to because you'll listen. Anyway, give us a quick snapshot how the county's doing, quick, and what's your county's number one priority?
Infrastructure is number one priority, big challenge we have. And I mean, obviously, economic development is a huge concern for the entire region, the state. We've been very fortunate. I mean, if you think about the past 15 years since we kind of instituted a new form of government in Macomb County, we started off with about a $33 billion annual economy. 15 years now into the making, we have a $57 billion annual economy in Macomb County. And to add to that, just real briefly, if I could, when we talk about our finances, it's important, obviously, every government at every level is managing the finances within their counties and their communities. I mean, you talk about, Macomb County right now, we've had a fully funded retiree health care, fully funded pension system in Macomb County. Our finances are in such good shape that we just recently got awarded by Moody's the AAA bond rating, the highest bond rating yet. So in Macomb County, a lot of good things are happening economically. We're working on the infrastructure issues, and fortunately the state came up with a very robust plan to help us moving forward with roads as far as infrastructure. But again, our finances are in incredible shape right now.
Warren Evans, you answered that same question. A quick snapshot of the county and number one priority.
Well, county number one is in great financial shape, and I think it is important that we all are together. Oakland County took that lead early on, and Wayne and Macomb have joined forces. And so, I mean, we're a force to be reckoned with in terms of our financial stability, and our ability to work together is very important. Number one issue for me is transit. Transit.
Don't take a deep dive on that. We're going to come around on that. But also, it should be noticed, you inherited a mess. I don't know how else to put it. And you turned that ship around. So that alone deserves a huge round of applause, too.
Thank you.
Overall, we're doing well. Oakland County has a history of being kind of the economic engine of Michigan in terms of job creation and GDP and all of those things. But we just did our economic outlook forecast, and there are some headwinds nationally and statewide that we all have to be concerned about. Sandy mentioned tariffs. Tariffs are probably going to add $3,000 per vehicle to the cars we make here in the state and in our county. So there's some real economic headwinds, as the economists called them. That's a nice way of saying, things to watch out for, red flags. But we're doing our best to navigate that. Our economy is still very strong. It could be stronger, just like the state. Our population is sort of growing, but could be growing more, and we'll talk maybe more about that. Number one priority, wow, that's tough because in our jobs, you're balancing a lot of things.
Yeah.
But because I did a press conference yesterday, I guess it's top of mind for me. But we're moving 700 employees back to downtown Pontiac, including my office. By next fall, we will be there. I'm really excited about that. Now, we got 5,000 employees, so we're not deserting our campus. But my executive team is going to be downtown. And my real hope is not that the county would be some sort of savior to Pontiac, but that it would be a catalyst for other development. And the mayor there just told me that they have $500 million in private development projects in the pipeline right now. So since we announced our project. And so I'm really bullish on our county seat, and if you're a developer or an investor in this room, Pontiac is the place to be.
Have you done a survey? I'm just curious, your employees, nobody likes change, and when you're going to move from one place to the other, how's that going over?
That's interesting because I care about how our employees feel, and if you currently work on the other side of Telegraph, which is Waterford, you don't pay the 1% income tax in Pontiac. So that made some people a little nervous. I'd say it was mixed. We interviewed and we talked to our employees. Some groups were really excited about moving. Some said we'd prefer not to move. And some said we would move, but we need to be close to the courthouse or the jail or something like that, and it doesn't make sense. So we were very thoughtful about that. And for the most part, we brought with us teams that made sense to move and who were open to it.
That's a good answer. Okay, so
True.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I assume it's okay. Anyways, they'll be calling and sending text to media in the room and elsewhere if they're not happy. You can be sure of that. Warren Evans, affordability is a concern for all residents, especially housing, healthcare, and student debt. I know you all have programs in each of these areas. Can you tell me about one program you have that addresses something in that trifecta of these areas where affordability is just, a crisis right now?
Yeah, we've created about 600, 700, 800 affordable housing units recently. We are working on it. We have probably invested $10 or $11 million just recently in affordable housing. The part of the affordable housing thing that is really important to me is not to just create affordable rental housing, but to create a method for home ownership in that process. It's difficult, but one of the things we're looking at now is the county funding some of the infrastructure work for subdivisions, allowing manufactured homes to be placed there, which, people have a stigma about manufactured homes, but they're like stick-built homes now. They're done very well. But you can get the price down. So if the county is invested in part of the infrastructure, we can put the manufactured homes on the sites there. We can create affordable housing and also home ownership at the same time. And we're kind of in the embryonic stage of putting that together. But I think it has great opportunity, and that's something I'm very interested in.
Mark Hackel, housing, healthcare, student debt, the county, anything taking place?
Yeah, I'll start with I'll pick up on the housing part of it. You think about it, Macomb County, each one of us have, municipalities that make up the county. And so there's 27 municipalities that make up Macomb County. The reality is we can't force any type of affordable housing issues within those municipalities, but we've been very fortunate. Andrew Cox, who happens to be here running our Health and Human Services organization, to deal with every one of those issues you just kind of threw at me. One of those is we did a survey throughout the entire county to get an understanding of what's happening within each of those municipalities and what can we be doing better by partnering with them. And so we just got the study back. We've been having the outbreak conversations and sessions with each one of the municipalities, those that are at the state level, federal level, that can assist with the funding to help support that. So we have taken kind of a more supportive lead role to try to figure out how do we help each one of those communities provide affordable opportunities for people. And I kind of look at it more as that, that attainability. How do people attain some type of home ownership within the county? It was much different. When I first started, I was able to do that. I was able to buy a house. And I look now and I got, a nephew who lives at the house, and a couple other kids that we take care of, and it's a personal goal to try to find attainable housing for them. And so there is a big push on my behalf to try to figure out how do we solve that problem. So.
Dave?
Housing is probably the number one thing. We stood up a $20 million housing trust fund to incentivize developers to do more of it. But since my colleagues already mentioned that issue, I'm going to pivot to another one because, again, just yesterday, I got a letter from a woman who was able to take advantage of our medical debt relief. Wayne County, I know, did this program as well. We bought medical debt for pennies on the dollar, and it is a game changer for people. We've now eliminated more than, I want to say, $16 million in medical debt for our residents. And the letter I got yesterday, and the email I got yesterday just made me so happy. There was a woman who had some medical issues, and she was struggling to pay those bills, and she's working 2 jobs, and she's trying to get out from under this debt. She just got notified that her $67,000 worth of medical debt is gone. So my overall goal is to make sure that Oakland County, which is kind of a prosperous county, and it's a great place if you're wealthy, but I want it to be a great place for everyone. And so getting rid of medical debt, student debt, other obligations like that for folks gives her an opportunity now to move on with her life, and I'm just so excited.
Warren Evans, last year when we sat in the same space and talked about this, you were talking about medical debt and how important it was, and this was a priority for you even back then. Any statistics or anything to share with us of how many people have been helped through the program that you have?
It's been an amazing number. I don't have the number right with me. I mean, tens of millions of dollars that have been medical debt that's been retired. And much the same story that Dave's had is how much people appreciate it and need it. And that's been something that's really been growing. I think the total amount of the debt has been astronomical, but the reductions have been really, really great. If you can start to deal with the medical debt and you can start to deal with student debt, you can actually make some headway. And we're very happy with what we've done in the medical debt area. And we're also kind of piggybacking. Oakland County's had some early successes with Savvy, which is an organization that helps with student debt. And I mean, I'm amazed every day at the amount of student debt people have for degrees with jobs that top out at $60,000 or $70,000 at the most. I mean, you have $150,000 worth of debt and you're now prepared for a $50,000 job. Just doesn't jive for me that person will be able to ever buy a house and do a number of other things when they have that student debt spread out over so many years. It's it's a wonder that people are doing as well as they are.
Mark Hackel, anything you want to add to that? Any of these programs, debt, school, student loans to add?
I don't understand that student loan debt issue because we have Macomb Community College, and I'm going to tell you, it's the most affordable college in the entire state of Michigan, if not the entire country. I say that because I'm a proud graduate, but I'm just giving a shout out to Jim Sawyer, who happens to be the president of Macomb Community College, and to give an opportunity to announce the incoming president as Jim retires, Lori Gonko. Lori, if you'll stand up for a moment, be recognized. I was looking for a segue because it's the first time I've got to meet her myself, and and we have such a great partnership and relationship with our educational institutions. And Jim, on his way out, I'm just going to say, is he was an incredible resource for Macomb County and making sure that student achievement was top of his mindset with everything he has done with that college. And so we're very proud of the work that he has done, and sad to see him go, but excited about the future with Lori taking the reins there. So congratulations, Jim.
Well, I do know we have incredible public universities, and our community colleges are the best. We have a great educational system here. Not sure there's much to say about that other than we'll just leave that as is. Let's turn to a subject which is like our version of the Middle East peace process, which we talk about every year, and little bit gets done and it continues to fester, that being transit. Warren Evans, let me start with you since this issue is front and center for you. You are aiming to accomplish with your transit ballot initiative, which is going to be before voters in August. Why is that so important to you? And why did you choose to go this all-in proposition way where it's all or nothing on this? And just explain real quickly what's the advantage to this in trying to promulgate and promote regional transit.
Well, you know, the real advantage is you don't really have a transit system when you have 17 communities out of 43 that have opted out. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And so as much as I am an advocate for transit, I'm still an advocate for spending money well and spending money reasonably. And when we talk about all of these other issues, it is just amazing to me if people could sit back and see that without transit, how many people cannot get to school, community colleges, other related things. How many seniors can't get to the excellent medical care that's out here. But the new medical facilities are not in their neighborhoods. And so, you know, if we are going to be a world-class region, then we have to do real world-class stuff. And one of those is to support transit. Now, when you think about it, for the opt-out communities, we're talking about $8 a month for the average house of equalized value, $200,000. I mean, that's, you know, look, if I leave my house in the morning, and I live in Canton Township, if I didn't have a car, I'd have to walk to the city of Westland to get some form of public transportation. It just
Well, you have a
doesn't-
horse, though. You could take a
Well, I could take my horse, yeah, but it would take me a while. It doesn't make sense, and if we're going to be world class, then we need to think world class, and this is really basic to being world class.
So I know you've been having meetings and going around to these 17 communities, and I don't know what percentage of the population resides in those 17 communities versus the others who are in. The question is, how optimistic are you on this vote in August that it'll be approved?
I'm very optimistic, and I want to take a minute to thank my Deputy County Executive, Assad Turfi, for the amount of time and energy he's put in talking to these communities. And people have different visions about transit. Is it going to be, you know, rail line, or is it going to be this, or is it going to be that? He's made it very clear that what it's going to be is what those communities need it to be. And it will be data-driven, but it's also, we're out talking to 43 communities saying, what do you need?
Yeah.
A lot of it is microbuses, other sorts of things. I mean, there's no one.
How do you, because each county has different needs, as you're pointing out here. I mean, within your county, there's different needs, but the 3 separate counties have different needs here. In developing a meaningful regional transit initiative that accomplishes, how do you come to a broad-based agreement between you about what to do? Mark, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And Warren just hit on it when he's talking about making sure that connectivity with all the various communities, because they all have special different kind of needs when it comes to transit and transportation. We've been in this business for since 1990s. You know, we've been all in. There hasn't been an opt-out. So it's that constant communication with the northern communities as to how they look at transit and the differences of that, and this idea of community credits. So they don't have the bus routes, but how do we work with them? And so, we've been fortunate. I keep saying smart keeps getting smarter. And I say that because they come to the understanding. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you,
Tiffany,
Smart.
you can use that. You can use that tagline. It's not intellectual property. I don't have much of that, so you can keep that one. But that being said, what are you laughing for? That was not supposed to be laughed at. That being said, it's interesting because John Paul Ray, one of my deputy executives, he's actually the guy that's the chair of that board. It is constant communications with the northern communities to get them to understand the importance of it, but the value added is what do they need? Kind of what Sandy was talking about when he talked about data centers. We got behind the conversation. And so you got people out there, the naysayers, that are talking negatively about this, and the challenge is that it might take up all of our water sources, and it's going to raise our rates and everything else. When the reality is there's opportunities for these data centers to provide community credits within the community to make things better. But they need to talk about that. They need to get out of the conversation, and they have not done that within each of those communities. You got to get buy-in from the communities to understand what's in it for them. We've been doing that all along since the 1990s, and it's worked for us. And I think there's going to be an initiative on the ballot in Macomb County to kind of extend the actual millage, I guess, if you will, for SMART, because we've been working with SMART on that. So it's about that connectivity with the community.
And to put an exclamation point on what they both said, we were an opt-out until a couple of years ago, and the communities, especially sort of in the north and west end of Oakland County, very resistant to this, didn't really want another tax and that sort of thing. But we did what Warren was talking about. We met with them. What kind of services do you need? What things can we provide? In the past year, ridership in our north and west service areas is up over 100%.
Wow.
The need is there. Whether it's just to go to a doctor's office or to get groceries or go to the senior center or whatever it might be, the need is build it and they will come. It really is true, and I think that's what they're going to find in Wayne County as well. I know Mark has already seen good ridership numbers in his county. The need is there, and so the ridership, and also on our main lines, I was just talking with the SMART folks about how that's increasing. When you improve service, when you offer a great product, people use it, and SMART is getting smarter. RTA is getting more RTA-ish. I don't know what the corollary with that would be, but we are now more collaborative, to use a worn-out word, but SMART and RTA and the 3 counties and the city of Detroit and DDOT, we're working together. Soon you're going to have one app for whether it's DDOT, SMART, NODA, WODA in Oakland County. People don't care what button.
Is there another, besides transit, which has been, again, a constant conversation here for years and years and years, decades, is there another issue that you work together on? I mean, when we last left off a couple years ago, Dave, not long after you got in there, you had made a lovely dinner at your house and people came over.
Yes.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. Have you
Long
gotten
time
together
ago.
since?
Yes.
I'm waiting for
at Road
Mary
Fund-
Sheffield. It's her turn, and she's the newbie. I did it because I was the newbie. I told her this too, and I've never been to the Manugian Mansion. So I said, Mayor, when you calm down and get, when all the work slows down just a minute, you owe us a dinner. And she said, okay.
Okay. So wait a minute. Mark, you were going to say something too?
Yeah, road funding. Road funding was an issue we all started working on because we understand we
Yes.
needed a solution for local road funding, and a credit to this legislature. I mean, coming together to come up with a solution that is sustainable road funding moving forward. We haven't got the money yet. It's still being worked out as to how much we're going to get
Yeah.
and when it's coming. I think probably fourth quarter this year we're going to see some of it start to come in. But this is going to be direct impact on local roads within our communities. And once again,
Is it strictly roads, or is it include infrastructure, including like bridges and other things too?
mainly roads, maybe local roads. There is
And
a
do you know
portion
how
of
much
that's
you're
going to
getting
bridge.
in the way that it's been partitioned out at this point? Has it been said, okay, Oakland, you'll get this much, Macomb, based on population, whatever it is, and then how do you decide how it gets dispensed
If
between
you saw this formula, I mean, the trickle-down effect of how this actually gets dispersed, the actual funding, it would blow your mind. I don't even think a legislature could even understand this. I looked at it, tried to figure out. So my response to them was, okay, just when this all filters out, what are you estimating that we're getting in Macomb County? So
Yeah.
the first estimation, first year is probably about 30 million, and we're anticipating, based upon folks, when it comes to the marijuana tax and how they push that, whatever. Dave's got a mantra going, smoke more dope, our roads have hope, okay? That's his tagline. I heard that and I thought, Dave, I don't know that it's going to go in Macomb, but no, he didn't
have
actually
preferred
say
it.
that. I
We got
just
a lot
made
of
that up.
chops.
I made that up. He did not say that. Do not report that, please. So I'll save you from that one, Dave. But that being said, we're fortunate in Macomb County because we know there's going to be more local road funding, but we are working with all of our local partners to get an understanding of what would they like to see. And let's face it, preservation is first and foremost, that's key. If we're going to build a road, we need to sustain that road for a longer period of time. And so a lot of funding is going to go toward that. But the neighborhoods, I mean, many of you probably from the neighborhoods you grew up in, some of you probably are in some of those neighborhoods. It is amazing what's happening the moment they drive out of that driveway, the challenges some of these people are facing in their local roads. So from the driveway to the highway, we now have some road funding that is going to help us support our communities in Southeast Michigan. And that was an effort by all three of us trying to push our state legislatures to come up with a solution where they finally signed that bill to make that happen. And we're so
And
fortunate.
to add to that, we wouldn't have it coming if they didn't see that we were doing well with what we already had in a regional approach. And so, to my partners here, also, the difficulty has always been sending stuff to southeastern Michigan. What are they going to do with it? How's it going to be handled? That's no longer an issue in Lansing. So
So-
that helps us.
And it's still an issue in DC. Let me just share this. You talk about transit, and my friends at the RTA know this. We actually came together and put a proposal before the Department of Transportation to get some seed money to start investigating some kind of a transit on 3 corridors, Woodward, Gratiot, and Michigan Avenue. Let's see if we can start to advance that and get some money from the feds, which we've been leaving on the table forever. We didn't get that grant. Because for a lot of reasons, but mostly it's because in their perception, we don't have our act together yet. You're not all opt-in. You don't have a comprehensive plan that justifies this kind of money. But we didn't say, okay, well, we'll give up on that. We continue to have to work together, not because it's feel good. We collaborate because it's feel good, but because it makes a difference in Lansing and DC when we come together with a common voice and the experience and the background to do it well. It brings more resources to our region. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Warren, at one of the earlier gatherings that we had in this venue, you talked about allocations of resources to your county versus the city of Detroit and the fact that your county outside of Detroit was getting short shrift. Is that still the case? You still feel that way?
Yeah, I do, but not as much.
Why did it change?
I think just you beat the drum long enough, people start to hear it, is probably part of it. But the other part of getting revenue from Lansing, and there's a new administration in the city of Detroit, and it's going to take time for certain things to gel. But I'm always looking at how do we get the money to provide the best services we can. And I go back to, it doesn't have to do with roads, it has to go back to the health departments. Detroit's the only city in the state that has its own health department. So Detroit has a health department, Wayne County has a health department. Never the twain shall meet. No discussion, no coordination. So when we go to Lansing and ask for money, they ask, we both get less than we ask for because the coordination wasn't there. And it doesn't mean takeover. I don't care about whether I have another health department or not. What I'd like to do is get the two brain trusts talking to each other, determining what do Wayne County residents need in terms of healthcare support. And then let's go ask for the money together and divvy it up in such a way that we're providing the best services we can. And I just say that because it's a coordination issue. And it takes time to do that, but I mean, it's something I'm adamant about every day is we got to do better with the money we have, then beg for more.
So Governor Whitmer will end her time as governor later this year. She's term limited. Question for you, you've been dealing with her and her administration now for the past 2 terms, and with the legislature up in Lansing, how do you describe how effective the state is in helping your county? Are they listening to you? You mentioned this one thing, but have you gotten as much as you thought? Has it been pulling taffy? What's been the situation? Mark, I'm looking at you.
Probably no different than if you ask other municipalities how the county engages with them or works with them. We try to do the best we can, but there's always something you can do better. There's other opportunities that maybe sometimes you can help them or assist them. But so I've been very fortunate. I mean, with the opportunities when it was Governor Snyder when I first took office, and then now Governor Whitmer, the relationship and the conversations. I mean, direct dial. If I got a question, a concern, a problem, and I don't overextend that. I understand. The governor is always going to be a very busy person, and a lot of people pulling at them in various different directions. So, if we have an issue or a concern, it's more of a kind of an informational, here's what we think would work best, and kind of go from there. If there's challenges, we'll have that conflict and the controversy, but we've been very fortunate. I mean, working with this governor and the legislature, I always take the approach of, it's not about the R or the D, it's about how do we get to a solution and fix it, get in the aisle and do that, because that's what the people elected you to do, not lead a party, but lead as an elected official with your responsibility. So she's been great to work with, and for that I'm very thankful for the past 8 years of having her there.
You're shaking your head, so we'll leave that alone then. All right, Mark, let me follow up then. At one point, not that long ago, you toyed with the idea of running for governor. You are running for county executive. You're running for your 5th term. I don't think anyone else is running against you, right?
There is a name on the Republican side. They always do. They throw somebody in.
So, but you're unopposed in your party and what have you. If you were to run for governor, what would you do different from what's been done?
I think the focus has to
And
be...
and if you were running on the campaign trail, what would your
The main
slogan
reason
be?
The main reason I don't really have an interest in running for governor is the partisan aspect of it. It seems like once you get elected into that kind of a higher
Yeah.
office, there's an expectation now that you're going to be the lead for a particular party. And I have zero interest in that. My job is to figure out how do I respond by being the county executive, by being the governor. And so with that, I think there would be tension, because there already is, within the party itself,
Yeah.
by you not leaning into some of their philosophies and some of what they want you to do. The idea of bringing a team together, the examples that we've been able to do with the Sheriff's Department and the county, I've got incredible staff.
Yeah.
And we see, with Dave, he's got some incredible staff, and so does Warren, but around the state, bringing together a team to really help lift up the state, that would be very intriguing. And I do believe I would have the capacity to do something like that. But for now, I'm
Have you given up that permanently or just for the time being?
We'll see as time goes on. If we can settle down the politics and the us versus them, I might.
He's
have
not
more
getting any
interest.
younger.
Yeah, so you'd have make Macomb your home on make Macomb your home on a statewide scale, right? Something like that.
Yeah, what the heck? Macomb, Michigan with everybody. So.
Is it data or data centers? I don't know. I've heard it both ways. Any?
Saunders.
Yeah, that's
Tomato,
it. That's it.
tomato. I don't-
Quick thoughts on. And Sandy talked about it. This is lots of people talk about as economic development, it's the future. Quick thoughts on data or data. I'll call it data centers, and your support or apprehension of them in your respective counties. Dave.
Well, I think Sandy kind of nailed it in his opening remarks. We've not done a good enough job of addressing people's concerns about them, whether it's environmental or on the grid or the rates. So data centers have a lot of work to do to sell themselves, but it is bizarre how quickly they become just this hot potato. I'll give you an example. We're almost in Southfield. Southfield is on the other side of the road. Go Southfield. And there's a data center, I say data, I don't know which is the right one, but there's a data center proposed there, and suddenly out of the blue, there's demonstrations and there's protests and there's all those things. And these are local issues. The county can't really dictate whether a community wants one or not. But the interesting thing to me was, I talked to the mayor of Southfield to just ask how he was navigating it, and he said, what's really startled me is we've already got 8 of them in Southfield. And we've never had a single problem with the first 8. But it's an issue now. It is now a political issue, and I want to say it's just political. It's a policy issue as well that needs to be debated. But he said, you can do these right. We put the guardrails we think are, but the folks that are advocating for it have to address some of the issues that Sandy just talked about if they're going to be more successful.
Any of you on data?
It's no different than local planning for a new business or whatever a community is doing. We don't override their planning, zoning. It's up to them to make a determination. We try to be supportive of that. And so with that being said, we see the benefits. And as David mentioned, Sandy hit it right on the head. The issue is they've got so far behind this conversation, it's difficult, and it's going to take these data center folks that are trying to pull these things together to get communities to understand the value added to that particular community. As a county, we'll continue to supply the resources to assist them in making something like that happen. But if they're not providing the assurances and guarantees in these communities, those local elected officials aren't about to cite that in their backyards or in their neighborhoods.
In the sales of data centers, the coming forward and promoting them, there's a lot of improvement that needs to be done. I mean, we're going to draw. There's one proposed in Belleville, and it's the largest freshwater lake, the only freshwater lake in Wayne County. To not be prepared to explain what the environmental impacts would be from drawing water out of the lake to cool the machinery and put it back, to me, it's just blatantly stupid. How do you do that? What citizen wouldn't care who lived on the lake of what the impact was going to be? They don't do it like I think they ought to. My position is it's a local issue, just like these guys are saying, but when it becomes an environmental problem, or could be an environmental problem, then it is my problem.
Yeah.
If nothing more than just advocacy for the people who are against it. But I'm not against data centers. I mean, it's the wave of the future is something that's there, but from my point of view, I think much of the rancor against them comes from poor sales pitch in the first place, and then signing non-disclosure agreements also scare everybody. Well, what's the non-disclosure agreement? So you can't tell us
Yeah.
about what it is you're trying to do. Doesn't warm the cockles of my heart at all.
And that Great Lake he's talking about is Lake St. Clair, the busiest freshwater lake than any other in the entire state of Michigan and country during the summer months, and also has one of the best bass fisheries. In fact, they'll get that from the pros. It is the badass bass country for fishing out on Lake St. Clair.
Somebody
For
needs to check
clarification.
his data
For clarification.
sometime.
I know.
Everything is the best in
We need-
Macomb.
I'm just saying.
We do. I think he's making that up.
Editorial note. Sorry.
Another red-hot issue that we're all anxiously awaiting for is for the Gordie Howe Bridge to open. I know the Chamber's been an advocate in talking about the importance. I know, Warren, you just did an event with someone talking about the Canadian Bridge and economic development and all of that sort of thing here. We know that Canada is the #1 trading partner for our region, for the state, for our country. How impactful will the Gordie Howe Bridge be to your relative communities?
It's huge. Canada's our largest trading partner, I believe, Mexico and Canada, but it's huge. It's a huge part of the Oakland County economy for sure. So
Yeah.
the bridge will be very helpful. It's bizarre to me that we've got this argument about whether it's going to open or not. It's built, for God's sake, so it's going to be opened. My bigger concern is what's happened with the relationship between Michigan and our dear friends in Canada. I mean, they've been our biggest friends on the global stage forever. I met with the Consul General from Canada who was just perplexed at what was going on in terms of the rancor between the country, our two countries. And so I'd like us to figure, that to me has a broader impact on our economy here,
So,
on trade,
Dave Coulter-
than the bridge, because it's going to open.
Let me interrupt you and ask that. What did you say to the Consul General? How did you explain what's going on and what we can do about it here?
I told him that despite what you hear in Washington, D.C., you have friends in Oakland County. We appreciate you. We want you to do business here. We want to do business with you. And to the extent that we can work around the chaos and confusion in D.C., I'm here for you.
I think there's tremendous pent-up opportunities
Yeah.
when that bridge opens. Just amazing amounts. I mean, I think multiples. So there's pent-up demand. Products will move much quicker. And time is money. I think it's a wonderful. At some point, it'll get itself worked out. But yes, you're absolutely right. Right now, it's bizarre.
Yeah, I think I've learned over this past presidency, he likes to say things, get it out there, get everybody excited, and get everybody worried. I think it's going to open on time. I don't think we're going to have that challenge. It wouldn't have been built if Canada didn't think it was going to be an advantage for Canada, and obviously Michigan or the United States didn't think it was going to be an advantage. Credit to Rick Snyder at the time for coming together with that, with our Canadian counterparts to try to make that happen. There was big challenges he faced during that
Yeah.
time. Obviously, with the other bridge ownership, Matty Maroon, that was
Yeah.
a big conflict, yet they still forged ahead, and the funding was provided, and now we're seeing that bridge. In fact, I'm so confident, I just filed to get my Nexus pass, because I am not waiting in those doggone lines with the rest of the folks. So.
We are facing unparalleled times in our country with things like tariffs, inflation, rising gas prices that show no end of slowing down here. How is this affecting, real quickly, your county? What's been the residual on your county right now from this? And I know, Dave, you suggested a little bit earlier something, and I know you have something like 800 foreign-owned companies in your county and the such. How is this all affecting you? I mean, we know tourism is down 30% from Canada. That's just one element.
Yeah.
We've got other countries. That's just one country.
We have over 800 foreign-owned companies in Oakland County that provide jobs and pay taxes and are an important part and have always been partners with the United States. And a lot of them are nervous about the federal policies. There's no question about it. So, yeah, of course it does. But just costs in general. Our costs and affordability, we've all heard a lot about that. But the other thing we heard in our economic forecast the other day that was disappointing to me is the gap between high-paying jobs and then what they call these pathway jobs,
Yeah.
jobs that you start at this rate, but you have a pathway to get to that. Those pathway jobs are disappearing, and so what that means is we're not providing the opportunity for people who don't have these advanced degrees to get into the workforce and have a path to a good-paying job. And we need to, as a state and as a region, do better. I know the DRP is focused on this, creating not just good-paying jobs, but pathway jobs to get people back into the economy.
Yeah, I'm laser focused on transit, and so I'm trying to figure out where the $5 a gallon does help me or hurt me. You know, you can look at it a couple of different ways, but that's certainly, in many respects, ought to be something that helps to get transit going.
Yeah.
In other respects, it's enough to depress people to the point that they just want to sit on the back porch and tie a rope around their necks and hope for the best. So I don't know, but I think, to me, the $5 a gallon would motivate me to want to be able to take a public transportation system that made sense. And hopefully that's what happens.
Yeah, these increased costs have been an incredible motivator for people to move out of Oakland County and come to a more affordable county and home. So our population has increased immensely as a result. You know, with that being said, obviously the businesses in Macomb County, we keep in contact with them as to how it's impacting them. We've yet to really see a true impact, except for what these gentlemen are talking about, is affordability for people that are, trying to figure out how to put food on the table and take care of, putting gas in their gas tanks.
Rent a home in Macomb.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
I'm just going to have
Figured
quiet.
it come from the guy from Wayne County. Oh, it's going to get bad. Tell you. Now it's going to get real. This is about to get real. We're down to the last 5 minutes.
So I have been using, just so you know, I've been using your questions that we have here working in this. So the questions I'm using here are coming off questions I'm getting, so just so you understand that. So I know someone asked me, are we going to be doing questions? I have been incorporating questions all the way through here. I know that one of the questions has to do with the importance of something we don't talk much about, but is critical to a community, and that is cultural institutions as a driver for economic development, bringing companies, bringing young people here. How do you see the importance of cultural institutions, the DIAs and everything you have in your communities? How important are these to your counties?
I think simply put, anytime it's been on a ballot as a millage initiative, people within Macomb County have always overwhelmingly supported that. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's probably the simplest way of putting it. We could talk about the nuances and what we believe and what we think, and I think everybody in this room understands the importance and the value of that. But in Macomb County, we've been very fortunate, whether it's the zoo millage, the DIA, talking about what's going on with transit. Macomb County has always been there at the forefront of supporting those initiatives.
Huge for Wayne County, absolutely huge. And the only thing that I push for, because I always support the historical museums, and that is their outreach to the community. And I have had DIA issues with that. It's one thing to have a world-class, beautiful museum. It's another thing to reach out to the 45,000, 50,000 public school kids in our county. Much more than that, actually. That would just be Detroit. And make sure that they get exposed to the museum. I mean, most people aren't going to be artists.
Yeah.
But part of the educational process is to be exposed to these things. And frankly, I don't feel the DIA doing that. Hopefully they get better. The Detroit Historical Museum, wonderful museum. Charles Wright, wonderful museum, underfunded. They need additional resources, and I'm certainly in favor of them getting them.
Is it a matter of funding, do you think? You mentioned the DIA in particular. I mean, is it funding? Is it that there's not the focus?
Yeah, I think part of it's funding. They're a city of, I don't want to make it look like I'm taking shots at anybody, because I'm not. But they're City of Detroit entities. Their basic budget nut ought to be coming from the City of Detroit, and let millages help them expand, help them do more unique things. I'm not so sure that the fundamental funding for Charles Wright and for the Detroit Historical Society is what it ought to be. And I'm not blaming anybody for it. It's historic, I guess, to some extent, but if someone else owns the equity in those institutions, don't come to me and ask me for money before you do your heavy lifting.
Anything?
Well, and the model would be the convention center, which is now a regional asset and is better than ever. I read your question sort of like this. Basically, what you're talking about is quality of life, right? It's not just enough to have transit. It's not just enough to have affordable housing and low prices and affordability. It's part of our job to create quality of life, whatever that looks like in our areas, whether it's parks, whether it's cultural, whether it's safe communities, safety, public safety, which these guys know a lot more about than I do. I think, the counties can't offer a lot of tax breaks to businesses and people to move to our counties. The main thing we have to sell is the quality of life. Yeah. So it's always going to be incumbent on us to make sure that this is a destination, not just that people can afford to move to, but that they actually want to, that they're excited to move to. That's a big part of, I think, what our responsibility is.
Anything else on that? Anyone wants to add?
No, but they have something that Macomb County, I've always tried to figure out how do we get to that point, and the reality is, we continue to support millages for many assets that are maybe not in Macomb County, but we understand the regional assets, and they support, obviously our economy and the quality of life in Macomb, but they're fortunate because they have millages for parks and recs in Oakland and Macomb, and I often get that question by people, how come we don't have some of the assets that they're able to produce in Oakland County or in Wayne County and partnering with their local communities? Because Macomb has never moved forward and put on the ballot an opportunity to, I guess, put a millage together to say, how do we start moving forward for the parks and rec plan in Macomb County? We only have one park in Macomb County, that's Freedom Hill. And that, to me, is a disadvantage if you look at, the quality of opportunities that we can embark upon. So it's always been something that's been put on the back burner because there's always something else that comes out as a millage, and that is a board of commissioners' responsibility to put something like that forward. And I am hopeful at some point in time we mirror something like we're seeing with our counterparts in Wayne, Oakland, and St. Clair County, who've been doing that for years.
Something big that'll be going on next year is the Final Four in the 2027 with the basketball. Some people are comparing it to the 2024 NFL draft, which was in Detroit and brought huge crowds in, 700,000. I think we just lost it to Pittsburgh, the title of having the most people attend this recent NFL draft. But question is, on the 2027 draft, or 2027 Final Four, do you get involved? Are you going to tie in with that? And I know getting the NFL draft was huge. The whole community came to Dan Gilbert's and Penske's, and I know you've all talked about that in the past on that event. On this upcoming event, are you getting involved, and have you been involved, and will you be involved?
I guess to what extent you're referring to. In other words, financially, on behalf of the county.
Involved with that? Are you trying to do anything in the marketing-wise? I mean, a lot of people use those kind of events as a business attraction type thing. That's, I guess my question is, how do you see that?
Yeah, I think we all did. I mean, obviously, we try to take advantage of all the major sports in the state, and fortunately down in Wayne County and the city of Detroit. But we continuously try to market, lift it up, and anytime, usually it's when they're winning. Everybody wants to be a part of the winning team, and they put on their jerseys and put a post out there. But the reality is, we're excited about the Final Four coming to Michigan. I know personally, I plan on being there. It's one of my favorite times of the year is March Madness. So with that being said, there is going to be a lot on behalf of Macomb County to get the word out, to let people know this is coming, and making sure people understand this is a value to Macomb County, not just the city of Detroit.
And I think, Mr. County Executive, I think I saw a picture of you. In fact, I did a story on Claude Molinari, and you were there next to him at the Final Four there where Michigan won.
Yeah, I'd say ditto to what that Marcus said, but also with the logistics and stuff, because it's in Wayne County, we will be providing support, security support, connectivity with the airport, those sorts of things. So yes, we're meeting even now in preparation.
To take advantage of opportunity, I would think they would.
We've all agreed already. We've put a 3-on-3 team together, and we will challenge any other 3 county executives in the state of Michigan to a 3-on-3 basketball game. We'll take them on.
And our support, by the way, is going to be predicated on whether or not the Spartans are in the Final Four, because we'll do a lot more, go green, If the Spartans are in,
Wayne State Warriors. Wayne State, come on. Macomb Monarchs, come on.
Yeah.
Monarchs? Is that
Doggone right. Doggone right. So,
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
sorry.
So we're winding down on time here, and I know we're up on the island. Everybody's going to be up there talking about issues, topics, lighter side. As we all know, some of the best conversations are on the grand porch, where you have sidebars going on there, which we don't have microphones out there. We wish we did, but we don't. As you look at this, when you have 17, I don't know, Sandy, is it still 1,700 people? Max out at 15. Okay, 15. All right, 1,500 people up there. Lots of issues, lots of great panels and speakers and things going on up there. What do you hope gets discussed up there with within the panels, on the porch? What do you hope gets the lion's share of attention? And Mark, let me start with you.
Yeah, again, it's going to be all about politics. Let's face it. I mean, everybody up there is going to be there trying to.
I'm not saying what it's going to be. I'm saying what would you like it to be?
Well, on that note, how do we start becoming more civil with our conversations?
Oh, gosh.
Amongst politics, the right and the left, and even inter-party. I mean, that becomes a bigger challenge these days. The primaries have become very hotly contested, and if you're not adhering to what the party wants you to do or say, you become somewhat of an outcast. So we've got to try to figure out how to become a little more civil with our conversations and working together. And the continue push I always have, and it gets a lot of attention, people understand it, but there's not a lot of funding and a lot of support for it in conversations, is mental health and substance use. We've got to start figuring out how do we become better at that and working together, as opposed to one community's doing something within their law enforcement realm by having somebody else, a social worker, going out with the law enforcement. We've got to come together to figure out how do we solve this problem, because it's a huge challenge for many of us. Our educational systems are challenged with it, our healthcare systems are challenged with it, and our jails and those that are in law enforcement are coming in contact with a lot of it and challenged with it as well. So I think we got to really start focusing more on mental health and substance use challenges in the state.
Warren Evans?
They make good old fashions at a number of the bars on the island. Politics will be the center of much of the discussion, but the chamber has always done a very, very good job of creating networking opportunities for those of us in private industry and others to get together and talk and work through things. I mean, when you think about it, our lives are so busy that to get the 5 meetings that I can get on the island might take me 5 months here.
Yeah.
That's always a plus. But just the general camaraderie, I guess. I'm not a big convention guy, so I wish I could rah-rah more, but that's just not me.
It's definitely my favorite convention to go to. Sandy, you and your team do an amazing job up there. The theme this year, I think, is appropriate. How do we collaborate? How do we get along? And it happens up there. There's not a lot of grandstanding going on. There might be politics going on, but there's not a lot of grandstanding. There's not a lot of that kind of thing. The challenge always is, I feel like by the end of that week, we've created a certain camaraderie, we got a certain determination, we got a lot of issues, whether it's education or healthcare, transit, all of these things. How do we leave this island, which has almost this magical spell about it? There's something about being on that island that facilitates really good, productive, collaborative conversations. Yeah. How do we take that back down to Metro Detroit? And that's always the challenge, and I look forward to that challenge.
So Sandy's bosses are here, 3 of the board members. I don't know how many board members there are, but there's 3. Any words you want to share with them about how big a raise Sandy should get this time?
Well, it'll all depend. It'll all depend, because Warren and I are a little bit, we've had enough of this already. It's like every time we go to that doggone policy conference up there or whatever, him and I are walking up and down the hill, trying to avoid all the horsey poop, and Dave is always in one of these little chariot rides with the goddamn horses. I'm not talking about one of those regular ones with the 2 big horses in the front. No, he's got the one with that little black horse in the front that prances all over it, and it looks so classy. But this guy and I have to walk, and Dave goes by and he goes, "Hi guys," and it's annoying. So Sandy is going to predicate on whether we get some of those nice little rides. Board members, pay attention to this, William. So a little concerned about that. So, Am I right, Warren? Am I right?
Is there anything else anyone wants to add amongst the three of you as we're winding it down here? One quick headline you would hope people leave here from this room thinking.
In case you didn't know, Macomb County has a AAA bond rating from Moody's. Just want to put that out there. So John Scanlon, our new finance director, has been very helpful in that process. So thank you for that last note. You might see a billboard or two on the way up to Mackinac that says that too. Just saying. Get ahead of myself. Go ahead, Dave. It's all yours.
See, I'm not as funny as Mark, or certainly not my predecessor, so, but I want to say something that I hit on earlier, which is the three of us get along, and we get along with the new mayor as well, and that's really important, but the goal is not for us to be friends. The goal is for us to come together, to work together as a region, to talk to folks in Lansing, talk to folks in DC, and to promote this region, because we're all in this together. And so we like each other, but I feel like we all understand we have an obligation to try to get together, hammer things out, be positive, get shit done, as the governor would say, on behalf of all of you, because that's ultimately what we're supposed to be doing.
I think we're all up here solid in that we really do represent the number of millions of people in the three counties, certainly the 1.8 here. That's the focus for me in the morning. It's the focus in the evening. We want to provide service for those folks. I know my colleagues here feel the same way. And politics, whatever, our focus is on providing services. A lot of people don't understand Wayne County wouldn't be where it is now if it wasn't for Governor Snyder. I mean, his helping us walk through that process when we were looking at going into bankruptcy was a critical time, and he stepped up to the plate. He did everything that he could do to give me the assistance I needed to make the decisions I needed to make. It's not party politics near as much as it is. Let's provide service and let's do what we can. I think the governor's done a tremendous job over the last 8 years. I mean, I clearly, feel that. But we got to work together to make things happen. And both of these guys have mentioned that, and I think we try to do that. We like to see that in others.
Well, on that relentless positive action note, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for taking time to share your insights, information, entertainment. This has been interesting, and I think there's much work to do in the region, obviously, and much to celebrate with all the things that have happened that we have done, but much more work to do. And I know Sandy and his team are going to be at the forefront of keeping the pedal on the floor, too, putting these issues at the forefront. So thank you so much. And
Thank you, Carol. We always enjoy hanging out with you.